Something in that second half. Got out to an 8-0 run and had another run later on. I mean, what would you point out that made for that success the last 20 minutes?
Yeah, I think we had a lot of it in the first half. What just playing harder, blowing up some, guarding the ball harder, right? Getting through, denying a pass or two, blowing up a handoff here and there. Outside of the, they had 2 offensive rebounds early. 10 got one in traffic. We had 3 or 4 guys there. He got it. He laid it in. 4 came across and got to a loose ball that I felt like we should have gotten. Right? Outside of those 2, and those were fairly early, it felt like we got going and got to the level of just the physicality of and how hard you have to play. Right? No matter what's going on, right? You've got to have a level of that, and tonight it felt much more as a group, right? The group toughness it really matters, right? That everybody's playing at a really high level, and guys got a lot of confidence that teammate's going to guard the ball, teammate's going to be where he needs to be in a help situation, teammate's going to go get a rebound. Like it felt like a lot of that tonight. Right? And in the second half, got some things going around the basket early, and then I just thought the play of Huddy and Ty, their aggressiveness and their want to go get some offensive rebounds early in the half, go get some offensive rebounds late. Even we were up 7, we were up 9, but they were still going to get offensive rebounds. So Missouri State didn't have a chance to go and maybe cut it from 7 to 5 or 7 to 4. Right? We had a couple real key offensive rebounds there. So I think the physicality of Huddy and Ty really getting to the glass in the second half, was probably the thing that helped us the most.
Could you go a little deeper on what those 2 brought in the second half? Jacob getting 12 points, 12 plus 14 in the second half, tied in a couple of big offensive rebounds, a big assist at the end of the game to Trey. Can you just go a little bit more depth on those 2?
Yeah. It felt like it looks like 14 and 8 for Huddy. He's 5 of 6. He's 4 or 5 from the line. Had 3 blocks, 2 steals. Just felt like his best game in terms of being super physical. Right? The one he caught and bounced it and came across, and there's he created some contact there and finished it. Those 2 guys are Ty's active enough; he's able to get to a lot of those things, right? And Huddy's probably a little more mobile and a little tougher than he gives himself credit for, right? And I think we saw that tonight. I don't know that he always gives himself enough credit for his ability to at times dominate possessions or dominate parts of the game, right? And in some ways that's a good thing. He's a really humble young man, right? And what we saw tonight was a really, he's still the same guy, a really humble young man, but he's capable of doing that, right? And that's fun, right? That's fun for him. I think certainly fun for people to watch when you got the emotion and you got the physicality. And really enjoyed watching those 2 in that second half.
And with Jacob, he talked about physicality in here with Trey earlier. I wonder too if kind of maybe refining that physical edge for him may have been a product of the foul trouble he's battled at times this year.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe that plays a role for him or any player for that matter, where if you're battling some foul trouble, that's just enough to kind of alter your ability to be physical?
Yeah, it sure can be. It is your because a part of that then becomes you trying to figure out right a little bit how physical can I be, right? Because he has he's had some of those games, he's been in those situations where he's had some foul trouble, and the other part of the game tonight was it was Cole, Kyle, and Mike. They were kind of 13, 14 minutes each, right? And I feel like we can play through some of that, right? So as you say that, for Huddy, a game like this, hopefully, just allows him to springboard forward and not maybe think as much or be as concerned as much about some foul trouble, Cole, because we've got, I feel like we've got some guys. We do have guys, right? We can play Cole, we can play Drew, we can play Ty at the 5. So yeah, I think this will be a game for Huddy. He can really take a little move forward, and just realize that he's capable of doing this a lot. Right? He really cares about how we do things, and he really cares about how we practice, and he really wants to do the things that we're coaching. He's a great teammate, and he showed tonight he can dominate parts of a game.
7-0 run for Missouri State after the under 16 in the first half. You called a timeout and got a 7-0 run from your guys. What flip was switched in that timeout?
Yeah, did Mason hit 2 threes on that 7-0? No.
One.
He hit one of them.
Step back.
He hit a step back, and I don't know if somebody else made a 3 or not. I'll tell you, Ethan, it was that stretch. It was a shorter stretch, but it was a little bit like the first half, where we were playing hard. We didn't get those 2 rebounds I talked about, but we were playing hard, right? And we had some good opportunities on offense, and we didn't get points out of them, right? So you just felt like you were, okay, this is what we said we were going to do. We're going to come out, we're going to play really hard. Right? We're going to be really physical, and that's going to help us play good. Well, we weren't quite playing good in terms of finishing off some possessions with some points. So they got up 28-24, so we were fighting not only what happened Saturday, right? Trying to, working to fight that off. Now we're playing really hard, and we're missing some free throws, and we're missing some open threes. And in the backcourt, we get two rebounds, 1 rebound, 1 steal, and all of a sudden we throw it right to them. 2 times in the backcourt when we had a good possession. So we can all feel that. That short stretch you're talking about felt a little bit like that. Like, hey, man, we've been playing our tails off all night, right? And we finally got a lead, and then all of a sudden 7-0 run. So the timeout was just to talk about how we were guarding the ball screen with Clay and Alston when it was a single ball screen, and then the double high, that double drag that they were going with. There went a lot of that in the second half. So just talking about how we wanted to defend that.
We talked Monday about every game counts for 1. Does this count for 1.01? Because of you snapped their 4-game winning streak, you snapped your own 3-game winning streak.
Yeah.
It's got to feel like it's got just a little bit extra to it.
This is, look, I know we all miss Rima being around here, but this would have been one where Rima would have said, Coach Jake, this is a big game. And it was because of the way Saturday went, right? Now, I don't know if I can stretch it to 1.01, right, Cole, but
You always would say they're all big games.
exactly, yeah. But there certainly was more to this game because of what happened on Saturday. What you're talking about, Cole, is correct. And our guys could feel it, at practice. And they could feel it, going into the basketball game. Like, you want to get that behind you as fast as you can. You just do, right? No matter what happens or how it may have went. When something, when it does take place, you want to get it behind you as fast as you can. Right? And the effort tonight was worthy of it. Right? It was a great response by the guys.
Looking at the final 5 minutes, go ahead.
I was going to say, outside of, Nate Heisey, great game for him tonight, Hudson as well. Outside of those statistical leaders, was there a guy that you saw just as a coach that maybe played a bigger contribution that he won't really receive credit for just because he didn't put all that, but really kind of helped put this game together and kind of behind the scenes,
Yeah.
we call workhorse. But,
Yeah, I think I was going to say I was looking at Titans minutes. He was at 29 minutes, and he was out for a pretty good stretch in the second half, so I didn't know if he even got to 29 minutes. But I would tell you, to me, it felt like Titan. And the one that set the tone was the second half, when he came from all the way on the other side of the floor and chased it all the way across the lane and got to that offensive rebound. Is that it's one offensive rebound, and it's early in the second half, but it also sets a tone for his teammates. And so Titan is the first guy that comes to mind, and he's done that a lot for our team, but I felt like he did that again tonight. And then in shorter spurts or in a little different ways, I would say that Cole, Mike, and Kyle, those guys off the bench, right? They didn't take a lot of shots, but Mike had 3 offensive rebounds. Kyle came up with, well, he had 3 steals. I was going to say 2, but the activity level of those 3 guys. So I would say Titan kind of set that tone for us, and I really liked what the 3 guys on the bench. They had 13, 14 minutes each, but there were some hustle. Kyle was on the floor, came up with a couple big steals, like I said. Mike was on the offensive glass. Cole did a great job of facilitating the offense. Like, he doesn't score as much as the other guys, but he's running that offense and making a lot of passes and things that you're kind of asking about.
Looking at the final 5 minutes, seemed like your team was coming up with the lion's share of the hustle plays. Thinking of the big offensive rebound from Titan, dish to Trey for the 3, Huddy's block. When we were talking to the guys, it seemed like you had a lot of momentum in the final 5 minutes there. What needs to be done to take that momentum into the next one?
Yeah, I think you, as a player, you want to or need to allow yourself to take some confidence from that, right? Because one of the things that happens is you end up spending quite a bit of time talking about the plays that we need to do better, right? And there certainly were those plays in this game tonight, right? With a stretch like that last 5 minutes, the guys need to feel good about that, right? And I've never really liked that. You start to feel good about something, you get a little comfortable, and all of a sudden it bites you in the tail, right? But I do think it's important when you play that hard and you come up with that many extra possessions, and you have that kind of response. You need to feel good about accomplishing what we did in that last 5 minutes, right? And then you want to be able to stack and kind of just add on to the confidence that you're playing with, right? And guys, look, I know we've talked about it. 20 games against league teams is a lot of games, and all of us are going to have little stretches here and there, right? And you got to find a way to respond, and that was great tonight. I thought the guys were great. Good. All right.